So on the ROV nav screen, you see the ship position now, and then there was sort of a arc going south to another little tight circle spiral, kind of dip-de-doo, and then another little circle spiral dip-de-doo to the right, right at the 745 line. So it looks like from where we are, a straight line back to where the gray line and the green line cross is basically the top plateau. Do you agree? Does that make sense?
You mean here?
So I'm looking on, do you have a cursor on
Yes.
ROV nav screen?
Yeah, you're talking about over here.
Yeah, so go
in
down, 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 yeah, down, or there. I think that's sort of where we started our drive across the top.
Yes.
And the Argus position right now is hanging over
Okay.
the sort of a steep bit. And so I think it's probably a straightest shot from where we are right now to where you have your hand and the cursor
Okay.
with Herc. So we could turn around, set in 3 meter altitude, and just do a line on that heading
Okay.
to where your hand is now.
Do you want me to point down slope when you go that way?
Well, so that's the question. So should we just jump down slope with the ship and then drive back up to where we are now, or
yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah,
yes.
So maybe that's the smarter thing to do.
Okay. So somewhere there.
Because it kind of kicked up. It was pretty flat down below, and then it kind of kicked up here at the end and got steep. But
We're doing a photo mosaic, right?
we're going to the start of where we're going to do a photo mosaic.
So it's on bearing 125. One, 2, 5, ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Bridge, this is nav.
We might not get a full 100 meters out of this because there might not be 100 meters here.
Can we move on bearing 125, 20 meters, please?
You're going to want to come around to take the wrap out.
Server report.
Let's see, you got a positive wrap, you got to turn to port.
Yeah, we don't want to go off screen left there because that's not the plateau. That's the sharp edge.
So this area that we're going back to, it's that sort of plateau area with all of the
that's where we just
corals.
were.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to get a straight shot across it.
Is that, for this depth, I mean, is that something that's considered maybe a high biomass, or is it sort of just depends on region and area?
Seemed pretty healthily.
Yeah.
Pretty healthy population of stuff there.
Yeah, it was certainly the highest density I've seen.
At this depth? Yeah. In this dive or in general?
In the time that I've been on this ship doing this. Yeah.
How long have we been here?
7 days, not long. And we haven't been diving every day. So.
That's true, yep. Yeah, there was a lot going on there. And
yeah, that was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. I'm happy we get to go over it again. Check it
Yeah.
out.
Bridge, this is nav. Another step, please, 20 meters.
Some coral to the left, is that these feathery looking things are?
That's the old file name, right, Chris?
Yeah, you haven't started a new one
Okay.
yet?
Soon I love reading your log entries. You said, it looks like we're at the tip top.
Ooh, look at that little school of fish just came through on the
Oh
line.
yeah.
That
Huh.
was cool. Argus cam.
No, we're getting back to where we're going to do the transect.
From here, or do you want to go all the way?
Keep going a little bit.
Yep.
So, like, that's the edge. So screen left is the plateau. Screen right is the off the edge. So we don't want to go off the edge. We want to just sort of.
Looks like this is the edge of the thing.
Yeah, right.
All
So
the way around. So you want to start from up on the top of that?
I think if you just sort of come forward and get
Yeah.
over kind of where your lights are shining now, and down. Yeah, and then we want to pick our.
Want to go back up
Yeah.
over the same trail then?
Yeah, that trail. That.
Yeah.
So keep heading left a little bit. Right where a little more heading left. Right about there. Right about there looks like a good end.
Okay.
And right. Let's try 3 meters, get a little lower so we get some colors.
Can we get lasers too?
Oh, we can turn on the forward lasers?
Yeah, forward lasers.
Are we okay on the camera angle, or do you want
That's probably
Yeah.
good there.
Let's see.
And how's this ship? Ship's gonna have to go back the other way when you start.
Once he starts, we'll start moving the ship backward. the same direction. Reciprocal.
You want me to start?
Yeah, I think you can go.
Right. Here we go.
Ready, set, go.
Is that it?
That's the new number, so.
Yeah. You rung it?
Yep, it's going.
All right, so we're doing that same, is it 100 meters? 100 meter stretch?
We're
or
running
so?
at about 50, and we're going to run out of real estate.
50 meter stretch to do this photo mosaic again. I think Anthony could maybe pop up the images we're taking in the lower left quad.
I would need to figure out which one they're in.
Oh.
Is the thing in the KVM. So if you would happen to know that.
Camac 1
Thank you.
screen.
Bridge, this is nav. Next step going to be 10 meters on bearing 305.
Cool, thank you. So in that bottom left quad there, you're seeing those photos taken in real time. So we have both the black and white, and then in color. So as Chris mentioned earlier, this is a great way to sort of get a look at the bottom of the ocean, taking out sort of the human biases. So we're getting just a general picture of what exactly is down here, and not moving the camera around for all of the cool, exciting, shiny fish and anemones, coral. And then these images as well, Chris, if you want, you can feed them into that program that Jess has been working with, right, to sort of reconstruct 3D models of the terrain here.
Yeah, so these can end up being sort of, quantitative. So you get actually real meters in terms of scales and things like that. So you can derive useful metrics. And otherwise, you get also a sense of rugosity, sort of roughness of the bottom. And so there's some, there's lots of sort of metrics that you can derive from the photos. And it's actually sort of it's a fairly active area of research as well. So
This
well, just
3D
in general,
modeling?
seafloor imaging is as cameras have gotten better, vehicles have gotten better, all this stuff, like imaging technology is starting to be looked at very seriously as a quantitative tool, as opposed to as a parallel for physical sampling, for stock assessment for fisheries, for nets and things like that.
Sure, sure.
And because has a couple nice properties, being non-invasive, not
Bridge,
destructive.
this is nav. Can we make another move? Same steps.
But lots of people are looking at images, and there's becoming sort of standard practices for what metrics you should be deriving, right? So if I go off and take a bunch of images and I compute a bunch of junk, and you go off, take your own images and compute a bunch of junk, can we compare those?
Sure.
Right? Maybe not. If we didn't have any sort of standardization or some best practices for the imaging. So the imaging community for a lot of habitat assessment, stock assessment, abundance estimation, all these things is kind of moving to make that a little bit more mature of a science, and it sort of involves a lot of things, just basic underwater photography, as well as a lot of machine learning that you can use to derive all these things. And you put images into classifiers that can sort of, on their own, in an unbiased way, quantify different features in the image. They can do stuff in coral reefs. You can, what's called segment, you can say, all right, this reef has a percent coverage of X for this species of coral, or Y for this species of coral. It has a you can derive lots of things that humans don't pick up on immediately or in an unbiased way.
Right.
So it's sort of a neat field of research. It's really sort of taking off, and there's actually a whole working group within NOAA, the Coral Image Working Group, that's working on something called CoralNet, which is a way of creating a database of these types of images that people can put through algorithms and make sure that they're actually getting useful things. So sort of an exciting field. It's really matured in the last sort of 5 years. There's workshops on this. It's sort of, it's pretty interesting.
And when you're talking about these processes of standardizing, you know, methods and tools and how you go about sort of creating this data and what you're looking for, are those standards set by this working group, or does that come from different research and then papers and sort of the you know, scientific method peer review process?
Yeah, that's in the peer review process.
Yeah.
So it's kind of both. Like the working group looks at they're sort of trying to take a consensus of the literature of what works and what doesn't work. And there's actually people designing a lot of experiments for stock assessment where you go out, you tow or trawl an area, and then you image that same area and you look at the numbers. Right? So for many years, physical trawl samples and bottom stuff and nets have been sort of the gold standard. But and then there was a sense of, well, you know, imaging doesn't necessarily produce those numbers, so it must be wrong. It's like, well, not really. It's just that each has its own special thing it's good at and not good at, right? Trawls and things they have their own internal biases, right? They have catchment issues, and there's all kinds of terms, and people use the way to quantify how well a trawl survey will even accurately represent what's there, and the same is going to be true of images. So it's sort of a neat field. They're kind of coming together, and you're realizing that neither is essentially the gold standard.
And trawling for a long time was sort of the go-to method, right? I mean, dragging to see sort of what you captured and then analyzing that. Yeah.
But you know, to think that that's not biased is foolish. Right. That has its own inherent issues. But if it's the only thing you can do, you might as well believe it. But now it's not the only thing you can do, so now you have an issue of, okay, now you need to evaluate what is actually complementary for both and what is not.
Yeah. And it seems that this is also maybe less invasive of a method as well.
This is Nav.
Sure, that's one of the main goals.
Next step, make it 20 meters, bearing
the image-based stuff is it's totally non-invasive, so you can do it
20 meters.
Sort of wherever and whenever. You're not going to disrupt bottom habitat. You're not going to interrupt spawning events. You're not going to, you know, disturb the environment. So it's nice in that way, which is an attractive advantage of it.
And are there all different scales? I mean, obviously we're operating a big ship with 2 ROVs, but are there other sort of methods, like maybe divers who are also doing similar work?
Yeah, so divers have been involved in this for a while. They've been doing video transects forever. Might be the end of it.
The way Park Service measures.
What do you want to do about that?
You can push forward, just kind of fly it manually a little bit if you have to, nudge up over the hill. I think the other side of this hill is it.
Yes, we almost there.
Just sort of push over it.
The way we measure rugosity is really time consuming and has a lot of biases as well. But we actually reel out a transect tape, 25 meter or however long our transect is, and then
like a physical tape.
Like a physical tape,
wow.
Yeah. And then once the tape is reeled out, then we actually put a chain going in the same place as the tape, except the chain goes into all like the little interstices and crevices and whatnot. And then we take the difference between the chain and the tape length, and that gives us a rough estimate of habitat complexity. But there's all sorts of I mean, it doesn't really tell you that much. Like, it certainly wouldn't tell you as much. You couldn't look at how one coral grows over years or anything like that. Like this, some of this photogrammetry stuff has millimeter scale resolution, which is pretty incredible.
Right, so in his example, you're going to get one number
Yeah.
that is an average for this thing, but you don't know anything about the length scales that cause that.
Okay.
So if you have the digital data that's a true 3D surface model, you can compute length spectra, you can compute how many 1 millimeter size bumps are there, how many 1 inch size bumps, how many 6 inch size bumps, how many 1 foot size bumps there are. You can sort of derive spatial statistics, and you can do a frequency now. You can do all kinds of stuff that you couldn't do with one number from a chain.
Wow.
And we're down there doing photo quadrats of corals anyway, so we have the whole camera set up and a monopod that actually keeps it at a set distance from the bottom. So I mean, we're pretty much set up to do this photogrammetry work. We just haven't implemented it yet because it has to go through the whole Park Service peer review process before we change any of our methods.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that the Park Service had its own internal. I mean, it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, for our whole regional inventory monitoring program.
And so that sets sort of standards in how you go about each of these different disciplines?
Yeah, so we're all doing it the same way.
Well, that's the thing, right? So it's, you might be doing it not the best way, but at least you're doing it the same way.
Exactly.
Right? And so there's a value in that. That you have to you can't ignore, right?
Yeah.
So
and even if we end up adopting, or actually I should say when we end up adopting the photogrammetry method, because it's only a matter of time, we might still end up having to keep doing Hercosity too.
Yeah, you should, right?
Because just to
you're going to end up doing a few minimum years of overlap where you have both data sets.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So this is true all over the place. So back at home this fall, I'll be doing a project with another camera system I have doing bay scallops. So they go out in coastal ponds in Rhode Island and swim around and count scallops. And we can do that with a camera pretty well in shallow water because bay scallops are in usually less than 10 feet of water. All right, that's probably good, Bob.
Okay.
Let's call it a day here.
How far did we go?
70 meters maybe. All right, so what we could do, we could turn around, we could find an area that's flattish, probably within a tether length back where we came from, and we can do another little survey where we just do a little 5x5 or 5x10 meter grid to get a couple little passes. As our last photo-y thing.
Okay.
So that'll be a fun project. We're going to go out and do this scallop thing, and you know, we just we signed it. We're writing a little 3-year trial where we're going to go out for 3 years and try and do this, and we'll look at the numbers the divers get, the numbers we get with the. So I have this autonomous kayak and this camera system. We're going to try and survey, and like we said, the divers have all these rules about they have to swim for 25 meters and the next one has to be a random distance away. Like there's all these spatial statistic business that comes in the fisheries. And
Where
then
are we doing this operation here?
Anywhere we turn and find a flatterish spot than here. Like we want to go back before that hill that you had to jump over.
Let me go to bearing 125 10 meters, see what's.
Yeah, I think if we just kind of pivot Argus screen right and you rotate around, I think this is the hill you had to sort of jump up over.
Yeah, look at the other side because
it'll be. Yeah. And so look around for a place where there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, like right through here, maybe. It's hard to tell how steep that is. Is that really steep or no? Or is behind us flatter? Can't tell.
I think we're getting to that bottom corner where it drops off again. So you can see the
bottom corner?
You can see, yeah, it's like a shelf
Yeah.
when we came down here. I don't know.
But right over here,
If we get over by the edge there, yeah.
like right here, looks like
Yeah.
a nice spot. Yeah, alright, perfect. Okay, so maybe we want to back up, spin, heading left. So we're going parallel to the drop-off over there. We don't go over the drop-off.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Heading left, and then back a bit.
Back to the left.
Just like backing, yeah, for you backing astern.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that we're going to be running over this area we're looking to here without, and we're going to keep the drop-off on our right. Yeah, keep backing up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Without going too far that we fall off the edge. We might have to pull the ship in a little bit.
Depends.
Closer to Hercules.
Okay. Which direction Hercules will be doing the...
Pretty much the direction he's pointing right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So...
And how far are we going?
Just 7 meters or something. Not too far.
Okay. That's 50.
We can try this at like a 2 meter altitude, 2.5 meter altitude.
Yep. Bridge, this is nav. Can we move the ship 5 meters on bearing 050, please?
Yeah, maybe shimmy a little more right, Bob.
Okay.
Just to kind of run over that stuff that's up there. All right, that's probably good. Maybe
3
2
meters?
Yeah, sure, 3 meters. And then, and so as soon as we see the ship creep in a little bit, we can go, I guess.
And we're going 7?
Yeah, sure. You can probably get 7 meters from here, right, with the tether?
Yeah. You ready?
Give me 1 second. Let the cameras auto expose for a second. So this is a new ID, Sona?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, go for it.
Here we go.
What's the difference between these two? Like, why is one?
One's black and white, one's color.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Does the black and white have a higher resolution than the color, or are they the same?
It does because of the Bayer filtering. Yeah, black and white cameras, single chip black and white cameras fundamentally have more resolution than color cameras, single chip color cameras. Do you know what Bayer filtering?
I do not.
You're a camera guy, you don't know what Bayer
I haven't heard of that. I know black and whites typically have better resolution, which is why I was curious.
Oh, hold on one second, I'm fooling with something else.
Hey, that's the end of that line.
Shimmy just 3/4 of a meter to starboard, maybe. Really fighting the saturation. It's hard to take pictures of these corals without saturating some pixels. All right, yeah, keep going. Go back.
Go back.
Yep,
7
same
meters.
distance, yeah, so we don't.
Going back.
So the way a standard computer camera chip works, you have pixels, right? Each pixel is like a bucket, and photons are like raindrops, and they go in the bucket. And your digital camera counts the raindrops in the bucket, and that's how you get the pixel value at any pixel in your image, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at 1 pixel coordinate in your camera, there's only 1 bucket. So how do you get a color image?
It has to guess about making it correct.
So in a black and white image, it's easy because it's just 1 bucket. Is the amount of light that comes in across the spectrum. If you want a color image, you do what's called Bayer patterning. So there's actually a layer on top of your pixels, and there's a red filter, blue filter, and green filter. And each filter.
0.75 again?
Yep, 0.75, and then forward. You can just bang out a bunch of lines. And so on the blue filter, it only lets blue raindrops into the bucket. The red filter only lets red raindrops into the bucket. And the green filter only lets green raindrops into the bucket. Right? And so now you have a collection of pixels that looks like a checkerboard, but it's got 3 colors of checkers instead of black and white, or black and red, standard checkerboard. And these are arranged in a pattern so that any 1 pixel, if near the blue pixel, one of its neighbors is going to be green, and one of its neighbors is going to be red. And to get the color part of an image, you have to replace the value at any pixel with the average of the neighbors. So, like the red value at 1 pixel might be the red number if it was a red filtered pixel. The green value is going to be the green value at the neighboring green pixels around that red pixel. So now you've taken pixels from a 4x4 or a 3x3 area and average them to get the green value at the pixel in the middle of that area. So you've actually blurred the green value with the neighboring pixels. So you've sacrificed resolution when you did that averaging to make the green value at a place where there was no green information. Does that make sense?
That does make some sense.
And then you have to do it for the blue as well. So for every color that's not the filter that was on that pixel, you have to do a little spatial averaging, which is downgrading your resolution.
Yeah, you're inherently losing data there.
You are. And so that's the way every digital camera you've ever owned works.
Yeah.
Yep, just keep going, Bob. The other thing is that if you have these buckets, the raindrops falling into, that's your photons, and you filtered it, you've just taken roughly, say, 1/3 of the rain and thrown it away, because you're only letting the red rain through and throwing away the green and the blue for the red pixel. So now you've got 1/3 less light hitting your pixel, right?
Yeah.
And so now you need to adjust your aperture to take into account the fact that you're going to have less light or turn up your gain
Yeah,
or do
all
something,
that
right?
stuff. You gotta just increase the
You gotta
exposure
do it.
somehow.
And so now, now you're fundamentally dealing with fewer raindrops, right?
Yeah.
And the camera fundamentally is taking the number of raindrops that hit the bucket and dividing it by, or converting it into a number of levels that are your pixel values, right? And so if you take a smaller number of raindrops and you have to slice them with a certain number of pixel values, you're also getting a sort of worse mathematical average, right? And so there's a second reason that color cameras are harder or less accurate than black and white cameras.
So you're doing both in the photomosaic just to have data from both, so you have color values, but then a higher resolution, what was actually there?
Right, so we designed this camera system with one black and white and one color camera, such that if someone really only cares about the image quality. I don't know, you think you're going to get one more line here, or are we going to fall off the cliff?
I think we might pull it off.
Okay. So if you're really ultimately just concerned about image quality and you want to do textural analysis, or you want to do something that really doesn't care about color, you're better off with the black and white camera. If you really want color information, use the color camera, but you have to be cognizant of the fact that you actually have lost something. So that's the issue. There are cameras that are called 3-chip cameras that have a prism that the light goes through first, and that light splits out and separates the color channels, and then each color channel hits its own CCD chip. And now you don't have the filtering effect.
That way each color has its own chip to be read, just like the black and whites.
And now you don't have to do that spatial average business we just talked about. And so
Wow.
you will get a higher quality image. However, that camera is going to be really expensive because those prisms aren't cheap. And so most people don't come across 3-chip cameras. Some broadcast cameras are 3-chip cameras. But that's definitely a specialty camera. You're not going to go buy one of those just for your average point and shoot, or your iPhone is not going to be a 3-chip camera.
Chris, how much of your background is this sort of photography element versus maybe more marine or oceanography focused? Do the two go pretty hand in hand in your field of work?
Yeah, I think so. So maybe about now, shift over, maybe we'll just take one more run through the middle, so maybe go left like 2 meters and then back again. Or 3 meters to the...
Wait, you want to go one more?
Go left this time. I don't think we're going to make another right without falling off the cliff.
No?
Or do you think you will?
Yeah, I think we could just barely scratch it out.
Okay, so I'd fine do one more then.
I'll move over there and see.
I think we've done 6 steps, so this is we're in the 5x7 neighborhood.
I think this is the 6th line we're going.
Yes. So yeah,
All right, stepping back.
Yeah, great. Yeah, my background is engineering, and so I come at all this stuff from an engineering point of view and a robotics, vision, signal processing, whatever. And so I sort of do oceanography on the weekends. And,
Side hustle.
And so sort of by osmosis and other things, I've picked up a lot of oceanography, but and I may work at an oceanography school, and I guess my job title is oceanographer, but actually I teach this all in a class as well.
Oh, cool.
I teach a class called imaging, underwater imaging and mapping, and we go through this level of detail for cameras and stuff, because if you're really going to do anything quantitative with underwater computer vision, you should be aware of some of this stuff, right?
Right.
Because it fundamentally is sort of the rudiments of how your data are being collected. You should understand because there are fundamental limitations of your system. And then when you design it, you kind of look at all these sort of details as well.
And it's really cool. We talk a lot about how, one of the most common questions we see is, how did you get on the Nautilus? And
Okay, that's
all right,
the
I think we're good then. Let's call it a day there.
Call it?
Done.
Done.
check and check.
So
Very nice.
let's see here. We got half an hour. Do we need to be on deck? Is that right, Bob?
Yeah, we need to
And we got
uh,
how much?
square away a bit. But yeah.
So looks like we got about 10 more minutes of monkeying about. So knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Knock myself out.
Party time. All right.
Ooh, what's that?
What is that?
So anything,
Yeah.
anything you want to do
So
sooner
is
while
this
we're
the
here?
Yeah,
heading we'd
once
be
we're-
on for recovery?
Once we're off bottom,
Looks like, yeah, this heading is good. We'll confirm with the bridge. Bridge, this is nav.
I'd like to take a control nisking from a place without any
Okay,
of this.
sure.
We will do recovery very shortly. Are you
So,
happy with this heading
Well,
of the
we need
ship?
to go roust Mark and the gang.
Mark should be here. Let me go do a walkabout.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So the heading is good for the recovery.
Okay.
But once we're at like 20-30 meter altitude off bottom, can we trigger another Niskin, a control
Okay.
Niskin, without any of the corals in?
So you start coming up.
I'm gonna have to get lined up here, and then we go.
Oh, look at that fish.
Nice.
There's a cool one.
Ooh,
You're cool.
yeah, on the bottom
I'm gonna drive right up
of
to
the
you.
screen there, under the clip.
I think we saw that little Bubba earlier.
Yeah.
We did? Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking, to finish that thought earlier, is one of the most common questions we get is how did everyone get on the Nautilus? And Chris just had a great point too, right? I mean, there's so many different paths. Like you can be a photographer, you can be a scientist, you can be a diver or an ROV tech, engineering. And so there are really all of these different sort of ways to get into this field and to get excited about deep sea exploration.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different paths.
Yeah. You can be a journalist. All kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, if you asked me a year ago if I was going to be here, never would have guessed.
Really?
Oh, God. A year ago, I was praying to move to college, you know, to start freshman year of college, so.
Oh my gosh, you're a baby.
I'm 22, so
Oh, you're a baby.
that's true. But yeah, a year ago, never would have guessed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
So at 20 meters, you're doing the Niskin?
Yeah, 20-30, we're still over the area.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be glued to this
Oh, yeah, you
feed
can take
for
your auto heading off.
the next good
Powering off.
rest of the season.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
It's actually my background noise whenever I'm writing
Nice,
at the
yeah.
office, yeah. Just like hearing scientists talk really helps to inform science writing
Yeah.
in a weird way.
I can see why that would help.
Yeah.
Gets your brain thinking science stuff.
Yeah, and then like, you know, something cool happens and you can pop over into the other web browser and see a googly-eyed squid.
Not yet. I'm just getting this over there. In the general vicinity. Okay, so we can start up. 30 meters up,
Okay.
and we're tripping number
11,
11.
11 or 12, whichever is easier for you.
How about both?
No, not both. Just one.
Are you watching?
Yeah, I'm watching.
Bridge, this is Nav.
Yep.
The ROV is now
Triggered.
coming
Thank you.
up. Shortly, they will be in the service. Maybe 10 minutes. Yes, please. Okay. So what speed we are going at? Climbing up. 20.
I don't know. I gotta. Okay, I'm gonna juice it up. Probably gonna be around 20, I think.
20, 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
Bridge, this is Nav.
Roger.
After 10 minutes, ROVs will be on the service.
All right, time to bring the chicks back to the nest, huh?
Bridge, this is Nav. How's the current doing? The current, is it strong or not that strong? Okay.
We'll
Okay.
Bring your camera
Cool,
horizontal
thanks.
too.
Sorry, repeat.
Camera horizontal.
Yep.
Bob, are you happy to be stationary or would you like to steam ahead way?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
We're stable. I can get where I'm at. So
We'll see how it goes. Okay. Main deck control van. Yes, Bridge, go ahead. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, George. Main deck control van.
Yeah.
Ed, are they all there in the main deck? He told me he will be doing the yes, and he should be with you, but if he's not here, I can stand back and be with you. You want to do it? Okay. It's much easier in terms of the preparation. Uh,
Yes, Bridge, video. Yep.
So see you later. Thank you very much. Almost 100 meters. I was happy to be stationary. Thank you.
Bigger fish just swam by. A bigger fish than the tiny ones.
Cute.
I was only there for like a second or two.
Yeah.
Just a dash.
Let's see here. We'll go over here. Well, we can go ahead and just do our thing here.
So how does it work at midnight? Am I on deck or am I here?
You're on deck, man. You're on deck. We're gonna be up in moments.
Matter of moments.
Ooh, and big fish.
There was also a little school earlier. I like all these small fish here, though.
Yeah. So we are going to be on deck in just a matter of moments, to quote the one and only Bob Waters. This dive wrapped up after about 12 hours. And we're heading to port shortly after bringing both ROVs back on deck. So we'll be in Pongo Pongo tomorrow morning, American Samoa time. And then heading back out tomorrow afternoon. So we have to do a quick science team swap. So we're kicking Ian and Narelle and Avi off. They fulfilled their week-long leg, and then we're bringing on another crew of scientists for this next upcoming leg. So we'll be diving again in no time. Hopefully the weather will be more in our favor this next week.
I hope so. We're also going to do ASV
Yeah, yeah.
as well.
which my understanding is ASV can be a little bit more sensitive to intense weather, so.
I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
They're on the surface after all.
Right. So it should be an exciting week. I'm looking
I'm
forward.
excited to see it.
Ooh, another school.
Yeah.
Alrighty, it looks like everybody's getting into formation.
How many meters left? 65.
65.
Cool.
We have 15 meters of talk time
Yeah,
left.
I'll stop at 50. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna.
Yeah, we were commenting earlier about the water temperature. It was also very high when we were about 250 meters down. It was like 78 degrees Fahrenheit.
200 meters depth?
Yeah, 22 degrees Celsius. So,
Argus, I'll stop.
all right.
Morning, everyone.
It's still night. Got 10 minutes
No,
left.
it's
Oh, he's
morning.
going by that
I
number.
think
So
it's
he's gonna
morning.
jump the shark if you don't
Well,
stop
if
on
you
that
went to
number.
bed, I guess it's morning for
I only
you.
slept for like 2 hours.
I didn't sleep at all.
Oh,
so.
really? Yeah.
So now he thinks he got one over on you.
Like, I went to bed and my body was like, oh, it's so early. And I'm like, no, I need this.
That's good.
Yeah. So,
He thinks we weren't
alright,
paying
let's take a look
attention.
at our depth.
40
Currently at
meters.
41 meters and still ascending. Yep.
What? Yeah, you might as well.